I'm thrilled to be here and to speak to this very critical issue that I think we all feel in a different way, which is why we're here. So thank you. I'm Amanise. My parents' names are Ahmad and Denise. So I say that so you can kind of understand. I'm half Iranian, half Mexican. I'm an Iranian Latina here in Los Angeles. And I'm a social worker. So I have my PPSC. I work in schools as so a call to action. First of all, what brought you here today? I would love to hear it. But basically, I just want to understand your why. I'm curious what's been bothering you, what's been concerning you these days as we're going through what I suspect you might be feeling at the end of the day. Now what? I'm exhausted. I'm seeing the worst of it. I'm doing what I can. What can I possibly do? And I think a lot of us are feeling that way. And it's such a horrible feeling because we want to do, but we don't know how. And we have to do something that makes sense for us too, because there's no shortage of fights right now. There's no shortage of work to do, but where do we begin? I want to be clear that we all understand that we all have a voice in this work. We have power. And it really is a result of the administration and society convincing us otherwise and distracting us that got us into this situation and keeps us here. So I think that's something we have to just accept before we move forward, because if we don't realize we have that power, then we can't move forward. So knowing that we have that power, I think is the first thing we have to understand. So I'm laying it down. And secondly, it's this the coming here for community, right? So the collective power, that's what it's about. That's really what this work, this is our community. We need to find our people. We need to find our community. We need to start with that and connect with others so that we can start to heal and move forward. That is the second part of this power, right? We have our voice, we find our community, and now we do action and we amplify this voice. But what does that look like? So it has many forms, right? We know all the different forms of protest, and we'll go over some of them. You have to make action and activism work for you. It is accessible. You don't necessarily have to lay yourself down in front of traffic. There's many ways to do this work. It's critical we find a way that does work for us and that we do it, because like once was said, Dr. Shirley Weber, who is, I think, the Secretary of the State of California, first Black woman in that role, and she had explained to us that it's like a fine flower that we have to constantly prune and care for. And it might be blooming at one point, but we have to continue to care for it. It's work, it's constant work. So I think that's something that we also have to accept, that to have the world look more like we want it to look, it's going to be something that we engage in as much as we are able to, little by little, every day. And that can include rest as well. Rest is an act of protest. Rest is resistance. These systems are designed to break us down. So that's another fact we have to recognize at first, and we can't let that happen. So that's why, as we go through this, do keep in mind, rest is critical. And like another metaphor that was once told to me, the choir will still be singing. You can step out a little bit. Go get some water, go take a nap, do whatever you got to do. That choir will still be going and it will be there for you when you're ready to come back in. Social justice action, that's what I call this work. And some examples. We have advocacy, raising awareness, lobbying for policy changes, and speaking out against injustice. That can be a daily thing that you experience. It could be something done in a letter. There are many forms that this can take. Boycotts, protests, policy changes. Now, this is a really exciting one too. Some people want to do more of the behind the scenes work. It all comes together. It's all needed. We need to approach this work from many different angles. And then education, of course, but just sharing that information. Again, social media can be used for this, but it's not the end. It's not the end of it. Just like a protest or a march. We can't just have that one action, think that done, I went to the Women's March, I did my activism for the year. We have to find another way to use that as one piece of this puzzle of work that we're doing, or one piece of this, like a foundational component, but we keep building on it. And then community organizing. This is what we're doing right now. We're building a community of people. It's a coalition. We care about something together. We want to address something together, and we're addressing the social problems that we're concerned about collectively. So even from this call, you can hold each other accountable. I mean, and you'll decipher what that is later on, but just taking into account what works for us, also finding something that we can use our own skills for. And as we start going through this, I really want you to take a moment to think about what your skills are. because we have different, like we mentioned, all these different forms of ways we can engage in social justice actions, but everyone brings their own spin to it. You each have your own skills. That's what's actually so beautiful about this work is there really is something for everyone. You're delivering a message for so many others who can't speak. And that's what I say to you. Remember, and I have chills again. It's not about us. It's about the people I serve. It's about the causes I care about. And we're human. I stutter, I mess up, I whatever, but we are embracing each other for doing this work. There will be places for you to go to build that confidence. Sometimes it never goes away. Like I just told you, I was nervous, but I'm what issues to focus on. So I want to start with immigration. I'm sure you may know, and if you don't, Los Angeles is back in December. They finalized a sanctuary city policy with a few changes made in the new plan. But this was the time when they decided LA is going to be a sanctuary city. And I'm just going to walk through this example of something that was like a policy that was made, talk about how we got to that policy and what it actually means. LA is a sanctuary city that was largely viewed as a win. How did this happen? Advocates from organizations, from communities, and various sectors, everybody came together. And this was actually very much a redo of what happened last time the administration was here. It wasn't as much work to make this happen as maybe the first time around because they've done this before. So, but it really did still take that push. And at the city council meetings, I mean, you have people from all over the community and organizations coming and doing it. I put it in red, public comment, because at some point in your life, please remember public comment, whether you're going to do a written comment, whether you're going to call on the phone call and speak. And I've done so, and my voice was all sorts of shaky, but I did it, or do it in person like what I did today. So there are many ways, but I put that there because this is an opportunity if you wanted to build on your voice and having that, doing that work. Beautiful, beautiful work to be done there, and it's so invaluable. But I'm saying all that because this was all the work that went into officially making it a sanctuary city. And as I say, it was largely viewed as a win, let's be clear. But the part that people don't know about, and this is where the chingona me has been getting involved, is the fact that there are 2 city council members who did not want it to be a sanctuary city, and they abstained. And it wasn't meaning they didn't vote. It wasn't just that they missed the vote. They intentionally missed the vote. One of them even stated that she intentionally missed the vote because she didn't agree with it. And that person's name is Tracy Park. She's my council member. So when I learned that, knowing that we have an election coming up and seeing how she continuously votes consistently with the other city council member, John Lee, and this is for Los Angeles City Council, people in my district, all the west side of Los Angeles, we don't have that extra layer of protection. And I can show you in the next, here we go. So if you see 12, this is all the valley. So the purple area is City Council District 11. And I know this is getting a little bit detailed, but these are all the city council districts. And this is the time to talk about this stuff, right? Like, so if you've not seen this before, this is the city of Los Angeles. And these are the different city council districts. And the reason why I have this screenshot here, because this is a screenshot of a video I made explaining this. I explained that yes, we are a sanctuary city, but no, not every district is protected. And our city has said, as a city, we are not going to work with the feds. We're not going to work with ICE if you come and try to come in our school. So they can still come. They will still come and try and interrogate. But we, as a city of Los Angeles, decided that we are a sanctuary city and we will not work with them. Fine. As a city, that's the case. However, in that big purple area and in that big 12 area, there are a lot of immigrants and non-citizen persons who don't have that layer of protection because that's the city council member is not going to put their effort in it at all because they didn't want it. So I thought that was really important to know because when these elections come around, we want to vote for people who espouse our values. And if we're going to be voting for people who are against immigrants and don't agree with Sanctuary City Los Angeles, then people need to know that. So I made videos. This was a form of education that I did. So first I wrote a letter, which is a form of what anybody can do. I wrote a letter and I knew it wasn't going to get anywhere. I knew it was going to fall on deaf ears. And that's fine. A lot of letters do fall on deaf ears. It's still powerful and still important work that needs to be done. But I know that I have a little bit of a platform on social media. I also realized that there's a fear to call people out. I get that. But I will be willing to do it in a strategic way if I'm able to. And in this case, being with a school district who is now giving, as you can see, these red cards, I made a video telling people about it. We are dealing with a nightmare to try and support families who are dealing with a nightmare. And people need to know that we don't have everyone on our side. So you see here on the left, this is part of the video I made talking about the letter. And I ultimately asked our council members, well, mine in particular, I said, do you stand with the students and families of Los Angeles? We need to know. What are you going to do when ICE is coming onto our campuses? Because they are. What are you going to do to support our students and families? Well, she doesn't support it. And what's really interesting, if you look at the bottom here, it was shared 261 times on just that one letter on Instagram. But if you see, it was only like 86 times, which I thought, wow, that's so interesting. People are quietly sharing this. And I found out I was ruffling feathers, which, yay, I should ruffle feathers. So I was very happy to see what was happening. And people are realizing that you can't hide behind a non-vote when it comes to supporting your people. You can't hide. This was the form of activism I engaged in, and you could even see below 4,000 views. But this is a way that I was trying to amplify what was happening so people understand the nuances of this crisis that we're dealing with. And the reality that we don't have elected people on our back or to support us is a big issue. So that was what I did to call attention to a policy that we were not agreeing on. Other forms of what came of that vote, as you can see here, Immigration March and Rally. This was in February 15th, when people were starting to wake up and realize that the immigrant community is essentially not supported in this area. We organized a march and a rally. And it was amazing. And you can see even as well, they started a Tracy Park, Stand with Immigrant Families and Defend LA Sanctuary City Status. Someone started a petition. They circled it. So all these ways to collectively gather people behind an issue. That's what this is about. From the education to calling it out, to getting behind on a petition, to showing up. I mean, these are all part of addressing the same issue. There's something in it for everyone. One of my favorite pictures, as you can see on the top right, is when the lowrider was holding up Lincoln Boulevard. Never in my life have I been in a moment like where there's lowriders holding down Lincoln so we can go through. And it was just so powerful. And I have to say, when you do this work, you meet the best people. You really do, because you're meeting other people from so many different walks of life who believe in something bigger than all of us and who want to fight for something bigger than all of us. You really should take advantage to get out there. And there's no easier way to find your voice than when you're chanting in a group, si se puede, see, right? Because it's not just about you at that moment. We're doing it together, and it kind of takes away that fear and that uncomfortability the more you do it. So this is an opportunity that I would highly recommend you put on your calendar if you're interested, if you're available. Here we have the press release, and this is with Homies Unidos. And it's actually another professor's husband is active in this organization. And this was something that was put together. It's going to be on March 22nd. And it's going to be, is it from the pier to the college to the pier to the college, I forget, college to the pier, there we go. And there's gonna be a resource fair at the end. And the reason why they did March for Humanity is because it's an umbrella for so much. Well, one of the things that happens in this movement is some people maybe get hung up on one particular cause and only that cause, when really we have to find a way to come together and work together. So this is an umbrella way to work together, but this is an opportunity where you can engage and you can participate. And of course, this can be shared after. I know it's a lot of words on a page right now. Another example, criminal justice. And I'm putting these pieces of information, which I'll explain up, so you can see it another way, like through the legislation side of things that you can get involved. If this is new information let me just tell you, assembly members, senators, all the people we elect put together what's called a legislative package. So if you see in the purple 2025 legislative package, this came from my assembly member, Tina McKinnon, and I told her, I said, you're lucky I'm talking about you because you got your stuff together. You got your package sent because not everybody has it up yet, but they all will have one. And in these legislative packages, they have somewhere around, give or take, 20 bills. I know our Senator Caroline Menjivar, who's in the Valley, who's a social worker as well, she says she has 20 bills, but the package isn't on the site yet. So I'm going to be working with her. But these are the people who are trying to make the changes from the policy level. And there's work for us in there as well. So the reason why I circled, as you can see, so the legislative package, that's the email I got with the many different bills that they're going to be fighting for this year. You can see the bill text, AB 44 or 1144, prisons, elderly employment. And there was a little message that someone said, Not sure I sent you the info for the bill you made the legislative connection for. We expect to be sending the fact sheet. Fast forward, and they were able to include people in jails. So this is a bill that I helped, and then I made the connection, and I also said you have to put the people in jails because the jails are often forgotten when it comes to state legislation because it's county. So that was something that I directly impacted because I worked in the jails. I can't unsee what I did in jails. And I did and still do a lot of work in the jails, which is for another conversation because I'm talking about here and now. I'm showing you that because that's a direct piece of input that I gave into legislation that any one of you can give into legislation because of the work you do. What people don't realize is that these elected officials, they don't know or see what we see. So I know, Maria, you were saying that you feel nervous sometimes when you're speaking, but again, speak for your people. What you are witnessing, no one else sees. And what you're being told and what you're understanding and what you are guiding is information that our people who are supposed to be making society better, they need to know. One of the things you can do in this work is making the connections with our electeds and letting them know who you are and what your expertise is. I can't tell you how many times I've been told, oh, you're a social worker. I want to connect with you. I want to know, what do you do in social work? Because we're in a social justice crisis right now, and it's all about helping the people, at least those that I support, right? The electeds I support. I know there's another agenda pushing otherwise, but it makes it even more important for us to fight for our people. So I just want to plug that seed in there that we have the expertise, but it's not going to help anyone if it stays within us. We need to bring it up. And that's one of my biggest issues with academia is oftentimes a lot of these wonderful ideas stay in the ivory tower, which doesn't help anyone. Sure, it can stimulate good conversation and we can talk about all these wonderful programs and ideas and pilots that could happen. But if they don't happen and that information never gets to the place where where things can actually manifest in a way that's actually going to benefit the people, because an example of an action item would be, if that's one of your council members, write them a letter and tell them, I don't agree with your position on Sanctuary City. And boom, you did an action, you used your voice, they heard it. Sleep at night better. So, and another example I'll go through because I want to make sure I give you time to try something. Worker and immigrant rights. So this was this morning, my friends. This is this morning. We were there. As you can see, brave female workers. There were 7 workers who had to come they work in the food industry. I alluded to it in the beginning. They serve the international flights. And it's this company called Flying Food Group. And the stories, they were just harrowing stories. And we cannot make changes with our voice alone. We need to stand with others. We need to find others to stand with. And that's why I was there this morning. So this is an example of Unite Here 11, which is they were also behind the tourism. So it's just another way to engage in action, just going and standing with them. Or when they ask you to speak, when you start to do more of this work, you might get asked to speak at something. And I was a little nervous, but I remembered again, it's not about me. I'm the deliverer of a message. And the message is that we need to stand in support. There's nothing scarier than being alone and dealing with these issues. But when you have someone stand with you and take on that issue and take it forward, it's empowering and it's powerful. And this is the kind of work we have to do. So if you have unions, I guess is what I should say. I was also there with UTLA leaders. And like I mentioned, UTLA is my union now. So this is more example of legislation. And just to show you how it's directly related to everything that we do. If you look, for example, this is the occupational safety face coverings. That's a hot topic. But they were banning face coverings. Why? Because it became political. So this is an effort to fight back on that because obviously people need to have access to health. It's a health issue. And then another one here is the Enhanced Child Abuse Reporting Pilot Program. If you see who the sponsors are, I mean, we got LACO on here. We got County of Los Angeles. So it's going to be really interesting to see how these bills go through. And an area that's a whole other discussion as well, but something to know about is all these bills. So like, for example, when we were saying Senator Caroline Menjivar, but she says, well, we say it both ways. She has these bills and they are they go to committees. And they have to convince the committee that this is a good idea. And when you're in these committee meetings, there's an opportunity to call in and say, hi, my name is Amani Sanati. I am a social worker and I want to say that I support AB 970. Thank you very much. That's another way you can engage as well. So when you talk with legislators, say you decide that your legislator, like in my case here, Tina McKinnon, I like this bill. I call her office and say, I'm a social worker. I think AB 970 is awesome. What can I do to support your bill? Oh, it's going to be seen in this committee. Could you call in and voice support? Yeah, easy. Many ways to do that. Or you can do a letter of support. If you're a part of an organization and you believe that this is a good idea, get together. They have templates. They even have templates on their page that show you how to format a letter. You can get it into the state legislature, and there you are on record, whether it's you personally or a group you organize, supporting something that you believe in that you know is going to better the people you serve. So legislation's awesome. I didn't understand how this worked, how this all made sense until after graduate school, really. The seed was planted then, and we're still growing. This is where I want you to take, either if you have access to your phone or to your computer. I think this is one of the best places you can go to start learning how to contact representatives. So does everyone have access to something right now? Because I would love to be for someone to walk through it with me so you can tell me what your experience is as you see it. You go to, and it says on the bottom, 5calls.org, which is a number 5. And when I say this stuff is easy, my 9-year-old did it the other day. This work right here, this little piece, takes no more than 5 minutes. It can take even less than that. But this is an opportunity for you to find out who your electeds are as it relates to our senators, which we all have the same senators, Senator Adam Schiff and Senator Alex Padilla. And they've been hearing from me, as they should. There we go. And check it out. So you go there and you put your location. Calling your congressperson is the most effective way to influence policy. Please know that. And it's so easy. It's so easy. But this is one of the most accessible ways. You get better at it. You mess up. I've left so much. You can even call after hours and leave a message if you're afraid to talk to someone. But just know on the other line might be an intern, might be someone like us just taking the message. They're human, they're people, they're doing public service because they care. They always hear when people are upset with them. You can call them and tell them when you're happy with them, or call them and tell them you're upset with them, or call them and tell them that you want them to vote a certain way, but they need to hear from us. They work for us. And I will tell you something else. Normally, it's mostly Republicans clogging up their lines. That should be a reason to remember, let me just make some phone calls. And you know what else? I implore you to save these numbers in your phone. I have my homies in here. They're my friends. I have them all listed because I call them all the time. So I want to just take a little more time to show you why this is so great is because you can pick a topic. So for example, education, protect the Department of Education. That's a very broad thing, but as we know, it's being destroyed. Roughly 50% of the Department of Education jobs are going to be gone by what, in the next few days? I mean, no one really knows because we're all living this nightmare day by day, but it matters. So that was the one that my son called about. And if you go on the site and try clicking on it, you'll see that it gives you a script. So you don't have to even come up with the words. You can just pick from what's there. And it has so many, I think it was over 40 different issues you can pick from because there's a plethora of things going on right now. So really, I highly recommend you use 5calls. I've been in, we were at a meeting at work the other day and we were just sitting around griping. I said, have you made any phone calls? No, I don't know how to do it. Pull out your phone. Let's get on 5calls. Let's do it now. And they did. And I made them call. I said, just call one and let me know how it goes. And it was fine. And like I said, if you call after hours, you get the voicemail, leave a message, easy. I just want to say, this was at the Women's March. I had the great honor to lead it. Halfway, Emiliana Guerreca handed me the megaphone. I said, oh, okay, I'll take it over. And I marched us down to City Hall. Never in my life did I know that would happen. There are no pictures of it, so it's almost like it was a dream. I don't have, because I was holding a megaphone. But my dad called me at one point on FaceTime, and I said, Dad, I'm in the front of the march. I can't, because he was trying to get the train there, and they canceled his train from Orange County. Ugh. Anyway, I had the great pleasure to do that. I guess I got to do it again and get pictures of it. And this is Bambi Salcedo. Bambi Salcedo is the Trans Latina Coalition founder, director. She's amazing. But one thing she told the crowd that just, stuck with me so much. Our power is not on social media. Our power is here, now. And everybody went crazy, as they should. As they should. They hollered, but we have to take that energy with us. And again, many ways to involve yourself, but just being mindfully aware that you're consciously setting aside some time to do something is what matters. And lastly, remember, we start with one small fire together, or small flame together, we're a raging fire. And here's my information. I'd love to hear from you if you have any questions. That's what I've got for you today.